Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reading from Canto number 4, chapter 14, the story of King Vena, text number 41. Brahmana samadrikshanto Brahmana samadrikshanto Dinanam samupekshaka Dinanam samupekshaka Shravate brahmatasyapi Shravate brahmatasyapi Bina bandad payoyata Bhinna bandhat payoyata Brahmana samadrikshanto Brahmana samadrikshanto Dinanam samupekshaka Shravate brahmatasyapi Bhinna bandhat payoyata Brahmana samadrikshanto Dinanam samupekshaka Shravate brahmatasyapi Bhinna bandhat payoyata. Dinanam samupekshaka Shravate brahmatasyapi Bhinna bandhat payoyata Brahmana samadrikshanto Brahmana samadrikshanto Dinanam samupekshaka Shavate brahmatasyapi Bhinna bandhat payoyata. Matajis. Brahmana samadrikshanto Dinanam samupekshaka Shavate brahmatasyapi Bhinna bandhat payoyata. Brahmana samadrikshanto Dinanam samupekshaka Shavate brahmatasyapi Bhinna bandhat payoyata. Brahmana samadrikshanto Dinanam samupekshaka Bhavate Brahma tasyapi Binna bandhat payoyata. We read word for word. Brahmana, a Brahmana. Samadrik, equipoised. Shantaha, peaceful. Dinanam, the poor. Samupekshaka, grossly neglecting. Shravate, diminishes. Brahma, spiritual power. Tasya, his. Api, certainly. Binna bandhat, from a cracked pot. Payaha, water. Yata, just as. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Chana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation, please repeat after me. The great sages began to think that although a Brahmana is peaceful and impartial because he is equal to everyone, it is still not his duty to neglect poor humans. By such neglect, a Brahmana's spiritual power diminishes, just as water kept in a cracked pot leaks out. Purport: Brahmanas, the topmost section of human society, are mostly devotees. They are generally unaware of the happenings within the material world because they are always busy in their activities for spiritual advancement. Nonetheless, when there is a calamity in human society, they cannot remain impartial. If they do not do something to relieve the distressed condition of human society, it is said that due to such neglect, their spiritual knowledge diminishes. Almost all the sages go to the Himalayas for their personal benefit, but Prahlad Maharaj said that he did not want liberation alone. He wanted to wait until he was able to deliver all the fallen souls of the world. In their elevated condition, the Brahmanas are called Vaishnavas. There are two types of Brahmanas, namely Brahmana Pandit and Brahmana Vaishnav. A qualified Brahman is a naturally very learned, A qualified Brahmana is naturally very learned, but when his learning is advanced in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes a Brahmana Vaishnava. Unless one becomes a Vaishnava, his perfection of Brahminical culture is incomplete. The saintly persons considered very wisely that although King Vena was very sinful, he was born in a family descending from Dhruva Maharaj. Therefore, the semen in that family must be protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Keshava. As such, the sages wanted to take some steps to relieve the situation. For want of a king, everything was being disturbed and turned topsy-turvy. Translation again. The great sages began to think that although a Brahmana is peaceful and impartial because he is equal to everyone, it is still not his duty to neglect poor humans. By such neglect, a Brahmana's spiritual power diminishes, just as water kept in a cracked pot leaks out. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Grim Yat Kripata Maham Vande Shri Gurun Tiratharanam Paraman Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat Namo Vishnu Daya. Hare Krishna. So we're coming to the end of this chapter of the story of King Vena. Now the Brahmanas have already killed Vena and continue to perform their austerities, tapasya, religious activities. And they begin to realize that the situation has somewhat degraded, that the citizens are no longer able to perform their particular duties to be able to be elevated in their material and spiritual lives. And so when they saw the irregularities that was present in human society, rather than holding up, hiding, or in the name of practicing religious principles, they decided to do something about it. Here it's mentioned specifically that generally a Brahmana is samadrik, that they see equally. Can anyone remember the verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita where it's mentioned that a Brahmana sees equally? Yes. That's a quarter of the verse. Can someone give me the full verse? Ed. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, yeah. Hastini, yeah. Correct, yeah, thank you. And thank you on this side as well. So Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, that a Brahmana, one who's with knowledge, they're able to see everyone equally, whether they may be a Suni, Cheva, Sopakecha, a dog eater, Pandita, Samadarshina, dog eater, when they may be a Pandit. They see them on the equal platform. And it's specifically mentioned there that they see the Supreme, Prabhupada writes in the purport, that the Brahmana sees the super soul in every living being, but also the individual soul that's present there. So he sees everyone based on the platform of spiritual understanding, the Atma. So naturally they are samadrik. They're equipoised. They're not unnecessarily disturbed by the waves of material existence. So today someone may be destitute, tomorrow one may be very rich. So the waves of material existence are like tides. They bring good fortune and they take bad fortune materially, again and again and again. But a Brahmana is very fixed. Whether good fortune comes or bad fortune comes, their consciousness is fixed in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead and one's relationship with Him. Prabhupada writes in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in this verse Prabhupada mentions that a devotee should maintain this mentality or this consciousness or attitude. Actually in Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada even says that it's the attitude of the follower that dictates one's advancement in spiritual life. So this attitude that a devotee should have is that whatever bad things may happen to me, actually I deserve much worse. But by the mercy of Krishna, it's been reduced. And when anything good happens, then a devotee should think that actually I do not deserve this at all. Rather, this is a great mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whatever facility He's giving me, I shall now engage that in His service, out of gratitude. And then the later half of the verse says Vigata Jwara. It mentions that one should be freed from laziness. Right? One should be spontaneously, voluntarily, individually performing devotional service with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the mood that we see the Brahmanas, they develop. It's not just jnana, it's also vijnana. It's practical application of such knowledge. So naturally these qualities come about. And one of these qualities you can see it says samadrik, equipoised. They see equally. They don't, they're not partial. As the Supreme Lord is impartial, they are also impartial. Those who require help, they provide the help. Those who do not want the help, they try, but they leave them alone. Okay. So here, it's a great opportunity for one in a lower level of that Brahmanical culture to take it as an excuse not to deal with the material world. To just go on. As Prabhupada says here, that almost all the sages go to the Himalayas for their personal benefit. Almost all the sages go to the Himalayas for their personal benefit. So naturally it becomes me conscious, it becomes self-centered, which is good. It's better than karma or jnana or any other materialistic activity. It's better than that. But it's not good enough. Because what do these brahmanas see? These brahmanas, while performing their spiritual activities, by performing their duties, they realize that there's no one there to take care of the citizens. So naturally, although that they're equipoised, they themselves are shanta, they are peaceful within. They're not affected by the waves of material existence. Still, seeing the dinanam, seeing the poor condition of human society, and how they were being grossly neglected by the government at that time. What did they think? They thought they must do something to elevate the distress, or so rather alleviate the distress of the conditioned souls. So they decided to do something about it, which is very important because there's Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, explains, and also Prabhupada also repeats, that there are two types of those practicing spiritual advancement. One is called the Goshtiyanandi and one is called the Bhajananandi. And in our Vaishnava Sampradaya, we will see both of them there. And both have roles to play within this preaching movement. Many would criticize the Bhajananandis for just simply sitting in their bhajan kutir and performing their tapasya or their sadhana. And they would promote the Goshtiyanandis. And this is true because Prabhupada would often say, work now, samadhi later. Prabhupada would emphasize that devotional service had to be performed. This preaching movement had to be pushed on. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, in fact, somebody asked Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that you see we have Goshtiyanandis and that's our path, but we see also Bhajananandis in our Sampradaya. How to understand? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says the Bhajananandis are like the motor, the battery. By their mercy we're pushing on in this preaching movement. They've taken that role so that we take the role of the Goshtiyanandis, the preachers. And by their mercy we're pushing on in this movement. So, Prabhupada quotes, Prahlad Maharaj said he did not want liberation alone. He decided to wait until he was able to deliver all the fallen souls of the world. So this section of Bhagavatam, 7th canto, is a very nice section. Prahlad Maharaj is praying to Nrsingadev. And he's pouring his heart out. And he's explaining to the Lord that Naivoduje paraduratyaya vaitaranyam. That for me, my Lord, I have no fear of crossing over this material existence and crossing over this Vaitarani river which separates the material and spiritual worlds. I have no fear in crossing that. But you see, my biggest fear or my biggest concern is for these poor fools and rascals who are simply engrossed in material existence. My concern is for them. Why do I have no fear? It's because I'm simply engaged in glorifying your Lordship. I have no fear because I'm engaged in worshipping you. Where is the fear? There is no fear when one worships the Supreme Lord. In the first canto of Bhagavatam, there's a verse that mentions that Yad Bibeti Swayam Bhayam, that Yad Nama Vivasangran, that this name of the Lord, this holy name, this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's non-different from Krishna. So naturally, fear personified is afraid of Krishna. Right? But by chanting the holy names of the Lord, then fear personified will also stay away from us, because we are engaged in worshipping Krishna. So naturally, Prahlad Maharaj is praying, why should I be afraid if I'm worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So what is my concern? My concern is for the fallen conditioned living entities. So think about this. Our whole lives are dedicated simply to satisfying the urges of this material body, the urges of our senses. And let's be blunt about it, we're not satisfied. We're simply engaged in eating, sleeping, mating and defending. And that's all our senses are focused on. And even if we try and endeavor to satisfy these senses, we're not successful. But just see what Prahlad Maharaj is teaching us. That naivoduje paraduratyaya vaitaranyas twadvirya gayana mahamrita magna chitta. That my mind is simply engaged in tadvirya gayana, that singing the glories of your Lordship. And naturally, he now has the ability to think of others. So where is the question of Prahlad Maharaj thinking of himself here? Do you see that? He's either thinking of the Lord or he's thinking about the benefit of others. Because he knows by thinking of the Lord and engaging in the Lord's service, naturally one's necessities will be taken care of by the Supreme Lord. And it's this faith that we need to have in devotional service. And it's this faith we see that the Brahmanas engage in their daily activities. This is part of Brahmanical culture. In fact, it's part of the whole Varnashram Dharma. The faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because if you think about it, what pushes people on in performing their duties? It's this strong faith that by practicing my devotional, or at least my prescribed duties, that I will advance. Right? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Right? By performing my religious duties, by performing my prescribed duties, I will get kama, sense gratification, or that which will provide my necessities. And by doing that, naturally I'll start heading towards moksha. Right? But unfortunately, everyone is simply just stuck in kama. In fact, no one cares for dharma and no one cares for artha as well. It's just simply kama. So, just see how it's degraded. Right? The more and more we start thinking of ourselves, the more and more we go closer towards animal life. Simply thinking of our senses. But what's Prahlad Maharaj teaching us? The highest level of human consciousness, rather of the soul, transcendental consciousness. Engage your life in Twadvirya Gayana Mahamrita Magna Chitta. That Maha Amrita, that Srimad Bhagavatam, reading and chanting about Krishna. By doing that, your necessities will be satisfied. And naturally you'll start thinking, how can others also benefit in this way? I did not deserve this. I have not done anything to deserve this. That's the meaning of causeless mercy. It has come by the mercy of the devotee. Right? Prabhupada explains in the next verse that Prahlad Maharaj mentions that Prayena Deva Muniya Swamukti Kaman Monam Charanti Vijanena Parata Nishtam Naitan Vihaya Kripana Vimumuksha Eka Nanyan Thwad Asya Charane Brahmato Nupasya. And this is the verse Prabhupada is speaking about. That all these great Prahlad Maharaj says, all these great saintly persons, they simply go to the forest and they simply take care of themselves. But I do not want to be like that. Rather than taking up this Mona Vrata, this vow of keeping silent simply for my own spiritual emancipation, rather I would think about the Kripana, their mumuksha, their liberation, because they don't care for it. Therefore I need to think about it. And they will get it simply by engaging in your lotus feet, in your devotional service. So in that purport, Prabhupada explains there that the devotees are simply thinking about how to engage in delivering others, in spiritual emancipation of others, because they are naturally taking care of themselves. Okay, so that's the first point I wanted to mention. It's the first paragraph here. Prabhupada's explaining here that the Brahmanas, they are guaranteed for their own spiritual emancipation. They know by practicing devotional service, I will go back to Godhead. That faith is required in a Brahmana. And we can see that we can also gain that faith. That, Shabda kahe vishwash korek shrudida nishchoy. That vishvasha shrudida nishchoy. That this firm determination that Krishna bhakti kaila karma sarva krita hoy. That by practicing Krishna consciousness, I will be able to attain anything and everything. I will be successful in my practice of spiritual life. So that's the first point here. The second point I guess we have to mention here also is that Prabhupada's making a distinction between a Brahmana and a Vaishnava. You see, being a Brahmana doesn't necessarily mean one is a Vaishnava, but being a Vaishnava, one automatically becomes a Brahmana. Brahmana means one who's broad-minded, one who understands Brahman. Okay? And a Vaishnava is one who serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Para Brahman. So naturally they know more about who Brahman is. Right? There's that verse that Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Yeah? So this aspect of the absolute truth is there. But they understand only the beginning stage. They don't understand fully. As one gradually progresses in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one begins to understand the Bhagavan aspect of the Lord, and naturally one becomes called a Brahmana Vaishnava. So unless one is a Vaishnava, Prabhupada says, one's perfection of Brahmanical culture is incomplete. But just see our wonderful good fortune. Prabhupada's making a Brahmana out of us all, who are considered to be third class, fourth class, not even considered to be even a Shudra. Not even considered to be a reject of, or the outcast of the Varnashrama system. But just see, Prabhupada, how he's giving us the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that we can advance. Prabhupada gives us examples. We're seeing Sri Radha Gopinath, right? The karmis, or at least, we'll go one step higher. The karma yogis, they'll perform yagya to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, hoping to achieve what they want in their life, right? I performed sacrifice, now you better fulfill the end of your deal, which is to give me what I want, right? But you see here, Shri Radha Gopinath, simply by coming and taking shelter of them, serving them, taking darshan of them. How many times have you come with distress and you just simply come in front of Shri Radha Gopinath and naturally everything becomes quelled, everything becomes peaceful, just simply by their mercy. Take it a step further. Those who are Jnana Yogis or Ashtanga Yogis, they're meditating on the Lord within the heart for many thousands and thousands of years. And what do? We simply come here and see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What does it take? If you live somewhere in the western suburbs, 30-40 minutes. If you live around here, up to 20-30 minutes. Just to come and see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They took tens of thousands of years, and it wasn't even guaranteed to be able to see the Super Soul within the heart. So everything's being given very easily by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who is simply spreading Gauravani Pracharini, the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the saintly persons then considered very wisely that although King Vena was sinful, he was born in a family descending from Dhruva Maharaj. So the Brahmanas, they were very respectful. You can see it's a very interesting thing. Vena was born in the family of Dhruva Maharaj, the dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj. But he was a bad egg, as they say, right? Rotten egg. As Hiranyakashipu chastises his son, he says, you are, the one tree that destroys the whole forest. You're the fire that destroys the whole forest. Yeah? So, like that, it seems, where is Krishna's intervention here? Right? It's Dhruva Maharaj's lineage. Where is Krishna's intervention here? So you can see Krishna really gives us free will to make the choices. That although in a dynasty like this, such a bad personality is there, and from him can come such a great personality. Everything's under Krishna's control, but he gives you the free will. Here's another example I was hearing recently. when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Navadip Dham, he's very intimate. One of his intimate associates was Murari Gupta. He was a physician by trade or by profession. And Murari Gupta was none other than Hanuman. So Mahaprabhu would always go and see Murari Gupta. And in Gaur Leela, Mahaprabhu was younger than most of his intimate associates. So Murari Gupta was quite a middle-aged man, but Mahaprabhu was a young man. But he would always go and visit Murari Gupta. And they would always engage in loving exchanges. And one particular day, Mahaprabhu heard the pastimes of Varahadev. And going to such great ecstasy of hearing about his own incarnation as a boar, he went wild and he started running into Murari Gupta's house. And when he was in Murari Gupta's house, he started roaring around like a boar, moving around like a boar. And Murari Gupta was so shocked that suddenly the Lord has appeared like this, and suddenly he's making loud sounds like this. And immediately he understood that the Lord has taken up that rasa of Varahadev. And when he saw next to Murari Gupta a water pot, a kamandalu, you know the one we used to pour water into the conch? Very similar, a kamandalu pot. And so immediately Mahaprabhu took that. It said that he had tusks, and he put that on the tusks, and he started to perform the pastime of Varahadev, lifting earth. And so when Murari Gupta saw this, he was shocked, and he paid obeisance and started glorifying the Supreme Lord. And in that mood, Varahadev was in a very strong mood, powerful mood. And he was explaining that I am willing to even give up my family for giving protection of my devotees. I am willing to even give up and kill my own son for the protection of my devotees. My devotees are that much important to me. So then Murari Gupta is looking at the Lord, and the Lord, shocked, like, wow, suddenly the Lord starts explaining to him that, actually when I picked up the earth with my tusks, Bhumi Devi was immediately impregnated by me. And the son of Bhumi Devi was known as? No. His name, Narakasura, okay. His name was Bhaumasura, but he wasn't really an asura at that time. Mahaprabhu specifically mentions that when he took birth, he was a very paka king. He took care of the citizens properly. He took care of everyone properly. But then he had the association of who? Who's the guy with 1,000 hands? Who is he? Banasura. So he had the wrong association. And that's why he became known as Narakasura or Bhaumasura. And that's why Krishna had to come later on and kill him. But you see, Bhumi Devi had already requested from the Lord the benediction that her son would be, long lived. So then Krishna had to take Satyabhama. And Satyabhama is in that sense, the avatari or the origin of Bhumi Devi. And so when they were fighting, then Krishna was performing a big act that, he was struggling to fight against Banasura. And so at that point in time, Satyabhama said, just finish him, like that. And so with that instruction, Krishna killed Bhaumasura. Otherwise, he would not have killed Bhaumasura. But the point Mahaprabhu in the mood of Varahadev says is that I was willing to even kill my own son because of the disturbance he was causing in the universe. The disturbance he was causing for the devotees. I was willing to kill my own son. That's how dear my devotees are. So this is the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is how dear the devotees are. And why are the devotees extremely dear to the Lord? It's because they simply think about how to carry out the Lord's instruction, that's all. They don't even care for themselves, right? When Prabhupada gives this example of the father and the son. When the father gives, the son wants to buy something for the father, right? The father gives the facility, the money, the resources for the child to buy. And when the child buys something and returns, does the father think that this belongs to me, it's my money anyway? No, he accepts that worship because the child's simply thinking about the father. So naturally the father is obliged to give protection to the son. And that's a perverted reflection of what Krishna feels, because that doesn't completely capture the loving protection that Krishna offers. It's mentioned in Bhagavatam 11th canto that even if one comes to devotional service just beginning level, just come into devotional service, Krishna guarantees protection to that living entity. He gives full protection to the living entity. Even though they may not be a pure devotee of the top class, still Krishna is willing to give that protection to the devotee because he has come to him. So this is Krishna's mood. And the devotee understands the mood of the Lord and goes out to preach Krishna consciousness. See, Shri Radha Gopinath have come to this material world to give us their association and their service because their concern is simply to deliver the whole of Sydney in Australia. And what better way to become dear to Radha Gopinath than by preaching Krishna consciousness and bringing more and more fallen conditioned souls. Like I remember when we were running Bhagavad Gita classes in the temple, and we were also doing book distribution outside, and sometimes we would just get people come in, we'd distribute these cards, Bhagavad Gita classes, and people would come in, and I'd introduce them, whoever was running the program at the time. When I was introducing them, I'd introduce them to Prabhupada, I'd introduce them to Radha Gopinath and everything. This is the deities, this is Radha Gopinath, they came here just to see you, thank you for coming. And then we'd run the Bhagavad Gita class and everyone would go home. And I remember one particular point in time, one devotee was here. I can't remember if he was a Prabhupada disciple or not. And they were explaining, because I never thought about it, but they were saying, just see, you're getting, whoever did the hard work out there and bringing them to the temple, you're also getting the benefit from them, showing them you just came and showed them the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you become extremely dear to Krishna. So if we just hang around devotees, we'll be recognized by Radha Gopinath, somehow or other. Even though we're insignificant, whatever we do is not quite that valuable, but Krishna takes it, right? Jagannath is there with big eyes, looking to see all the good qualities we have, looking to see what small little service this person has done. He's come and breathed in the temple, okay, give him mercy. He's come and seen me, give him mercy, right? So this is Krishna's mood. And when he comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he teaches us how we can reciprocate with him, right? By giving Krishna consciousness to others. So I'll just hold that point. Just hold on to that one point. I just wanted to finish this purport. So the Brahmanas knew the mood, intention of the Supreme Lord. They knew that this lineage is what the Lord wanted, right? He wanted Dhruva Maharaj's lineage to go on because it's a glorification of Dhruva Maharaj himself. So they understood that it's mentioned here, the semen of the family, that family lineage needed to go on. So what the sages will do is that they will churn by Vedic process, by mantras, they will churn the body of Vena. And from the body of Vena will eventually come the Shaktivesh avatar of Krishna and Lakshmiji, Prithu and Archi. And then you will start to see how they establish Krishna consciousness rulership properly. So we'll continue to read about that. And the sages, they understood this as the purpose of the Lord, so they took the steps to satisfy. But today is the appearance, is it the appearance or disappearance? It's the disappearance of Lochan Das Thakur. So Lochan Das Thakur is a very great pure devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's mentioned that one of the branches of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his name is Sri Narahari Sarkar, and he was a very dear associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's from the district of Khanda. So if you read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu specifically talks to the residents of Khanda. So Sri Narahari Thakur was from there. And his disciple was Lochan Das Thakur. And Lochan Das Thakur, he's one of his greatest or significant or most talked about contribution to this Krishna consciousness movement is his Chaitanya Mangala. It's the essence, or you could say basically Lochan Das Thakur, while studying under Narahari Sarkar, he was able to read the diary of Murari Gupta, which is no longer available. At that time, they had called it Shri Chaitanya Charitamritam, that diary, but it's no longer available. So what had happened was that Lochan Das Thakur wanted to give all the Vaishnavas an opportunity to hear about the pastimes of Murari Gupta. There says there are two diaries or two notebooks of Mahaprabhu's Leelas. There was Murari Gupta's diary, which he had kept for until Mahaprabhu took sannyas, and then there was Swarup Damodar Goswami's diary, which was the whole sannyas pastimes of Mahaprabhu until he left this world, or he disappeared. So it's mentioned that Lochan Das Thakur's book, Chaitanya Mangala, it was originally called Chaitanya Bhagavat. And Kaviraj Goswami explains that the Veda Vyasa of Gaur Lila is Vrindavan Das Thakur. Okay? Vrindavan Das Thakur is the Veda Vyasa of Gaur Lila. So therefore, they gave the name, which was Ved Vyas had, or Vrindavan Das Thakur had given the name of his book, Chaitanya Mangala, his book. And so, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, then it's mentioned, he mentions that his book was then called Chaitanya Bhagavata. Just like we have Srimad Bhagavatam, written by Ved Vyas. They wanted to exalt Vrindavan Das Thakur's work as the Bhagavata of Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya's Leela. So they called that Chaitanya Bhagavat, and they left it, Lochan Das Thakur's work as Chaitanya Mangala. And it's mentioned in that a lot of pastimes that we often hear, but we don't often hear quotations about the source. Like, for example, it's mentioned about how you must have heard the different types of leelas of how Mahaprabhu or Krishna decided to come and descend into the material world and give himself as a devotee and give Krishna consciousness to others. Like, for example, when Krishna was in Dwarka and Rukmini Devi heard about Krishna taking golden form, and then Narad Muni appears there. And there's another pastime of how Mahaprasadam was available to all the living entities in the material world by the mercy of Parvati Devi. All of these pastimes are quoted in Chaitanya Mangala. But specifically what he had given to the community at that particular point in time was that he had translated, or he had compiled all of these leelas of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all of the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, and he started to give it in very simple Bengali, in simple poetry, so that anyone and everyone could immediately understand. Like a couple of days ago, we were here, and I think for 2 days at least, we heard from Prabhu Vishnu Prabhu. He sang bhajans before Bhagavatam class. And then immediately, I was, thinking, we were talking to some devotees that, how come Prabhu suddenly started bhajans? But if you think about it, Prabhupada says, the bhajans or the poetry or the songs written by the previous acharyas is the essence of the Vedic literature. It is the essence of the Vedic literature. It's given so simply by reciting. You'll not only understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, you'll understand the mood of what it means to be a devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You don't have to do anything. If you simply sit and recite the bhajans of the previous acharyas, the songs of the previous acharyas, there's so much benefit. There's so much advancement there. So there's just 10 minutes left. I thought we could maybe sing a very famous song of Lochan Das Thakur, Parama Karuna, Pahudvijana. And then I can take questions if there's time after that. So if you search online, it's Parama Karuna. I need kartals. Bapu can play mridanga. It will be 1, 2, 3. Kartals? It's Parama Karuna Pahudvijana by Lochan Das Thakur. Okay. You have got it? Everyone has it? Parama Karuna Pahudvijana Nitai Gaurachandra. Parama Karuna. If you go to KKS. Was it KKS? KK Songs. Yeah, there you go. You can find it there. Do you have phones? You can search. You don't have a phone? Can someone share the phone with you? Can I get the book? Can I get the book? Yeah. It's here. It's here on this shelf. So this, so the significance of this particular bhajan, it's right at, oh yeah, good, thank you. There's one on the top as well, just there above the Bhagavad Gita. The significance of this song is that Prabhupada has also sung and given a purport on this, so you can read about that online as well. You can give it to whoever needs it. Yeah. And it's mentioned that Prabhupada would often sing this song in front of Panchatattva deities. Let's see if I can find it in my book. That's not it. Okay. Jai Radha Krishna. Does anyone know what the page number is, if they have one? You don't think it's in here? It should be at the end, yes, yeah. It's called Sri Sri Gaura Nityananda Daya. It's at the end, Parama Karuna. So yeah, Prabhupada would often sing this song, and it's mentioned on many occasions where Prabhupada would come to, I think it's mentioned in Miami. You'll often hear this famous Prabhupada Leela, when Prabhupada came and sat down and started to speak about the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he immediately just stopped. And it's mentioned that devotees mentioned that, you know how you have water coming from a full, you turn on tap fully and you see water, and you try to close the tap, and how water would leak from the outside. That's the level of tears Prabhupada was trying to hold back by just thinking of Mahaprabhu's mercy. So this one is glorifying the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. So we can quickly chant this one. Parama Karuna Pahudvi Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra Makaruna Pahudvi Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra Parama Karuna Pahudvi Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra Sabha Avatar Shara Shiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda Sabha Avatar Shara Shiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nithai Sudhidra Vishwasha Kodi Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nithai Sudhidra Vishwasha Kodi Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nithai Sudhidra Vishwasha Kodi Kori Vishaya Chariya Sera Se Majiya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Vishaya Chariya Sera Se Majiya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Deke Ore Bai Tribhuvane Nai Emona Doyal Data ত্রিভুবনে নাই এমন দয়াল ধাতা দেখে ওরে ভাই ত্রিভুবনে নাই এমন দয়াল দাতা দেখে ওরে ভাই ত্রিভুবনে নাই দাতা পশু পাখি জুড়ে পাশনা বেদারে শুনিয়ার গুণ গাতা পশু পাখি জুড়ে পাশনা বেদারে শুনিয়ার গুণ গাতা পশু পাখি জুড়ে পাশনা বেদারে শুনিয়ার গুণ গাতা সংসারে মাঝিয়া রহিলি পড়িয়া সে পাদে নাহিল আশা সংসার মাজিয়া রহিলি পড়িয়া সে পাদে নাহিল আশা মাজিয়া রহিলি পড়িয়া সে পাদে নাহিল আশা আপনা কর্মা গুঞ্জায়ে সমনা কাহে লোচন দাসা. You can come in. Kahaye लोचन दासा अपना कर्मा भूंजाए समना कहे लोचन दासा कर्मा भूंजाए समना कहे लोचन दासा परम करुणा बहुद्विजना निताय गौरचंद्र बहुद्विजना निताय गौरचंद्र परम करुणा बहुद्विजना निताय गौरचंद्र So we can get everyone to read. There's 4 translations. We can get everyone to read one each.
Two Lords Nitai Gaurachandra are very merciful. They are the essence of all incarnation. The specific significance of this incarnation is that they introduce the process of chanting and dancing. This is simply
Mm-hmm. Next.
My dear Guru, I request that you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with calm, conviction and faith. If one wants to be Krishna conscious by this process, one has to give up his engagement in sense gratification. One simply has to chant Hare Krishna, Hare Hare without any motive.
My dear brother, just try and examine this. Within the 3 words there is no one Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda. Their merciful qualities are so great that upon hearing them, even birds and beasts cry in this praise Lord.
But I, Lochan Das, regret that I am entrapped by sense gratification. I have no attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, and therefore Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, is punishing me by not allowing me to be attracted by this movement. So, it's a very nice bhajan here, sung by Lochan Das Thakur. But I would recommend everyone to read the purport The purport is very, very nice. Yeah, this purport is very, what can I say, it's very nice to read. Prabhupada just breaks down the whole bhajan in a way that you can understand. And it's very simple language, it's very simple to understand. But yes, the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. So, if there's one thing you can take away from this class, is that it's by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu that we've come to Krishna consciousness. And it's not just them. They send their devotees to preach Krishna consciousness. And it's by their mercy we've come to Krishna consciousness. So it's naturally our duty to give Krishna consciousness to others. We should become those instruments in the hands of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the hands of Srila Prabhupada, to spread this Krishna consciousness movement. And if we do this and engage in this way, then naturally we won't feel the pangs of material existence. We'll no longer feel, the difficulties that we experience in our day-to-day lives. It'll just become a thing that we can tolerate, and our concern will mainly be to preach Krishna consciousness. This is the only way we can transcend the modes of material nature. Okay? We all come to Krishna consciousness, we have all our own baggage and backgrounds and things. There'll be clashes, there'll be this, that, the other. But we must become strong in our Krishna consciousness so that we can push on this movement of Mahaprabhu. And again, I'll just quote what I was saying in the last time I spoke as well, was that the more and more we think about ourselves, the more and more we'll be just simply absorbed in trying to chant our rounds and trying to finish our daily duties. But the more and more we start thinking about how to spread this Krishna consciousness movement, the less we'll end up worrying about ourselves, and the more rasa, the more taste, the more bliss we'll have in giving Krishna to others. Naturally we'll be happy. We'll just be happy in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, we commit ourselves to just simply, let me just finish the rounds, let me just finish this, let me finish that. And we forget the reason why we took up devotional service, and that was the bliss that we got from it. So the key thing here is that we follow Srila Prabhupada in preaching Krishna consciousness to whatever capacity we can. We are a preaching movement, and we can see in this verse, even the Brahmanas, okay? Brahmanas, they also engaged. Even if they were the lower category of Brahmanas, they still engaged in giving Krishna consciousness to others. So who are we, right? We should also, under the shelter of Krishna, under the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, also give this Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. It's past 9. I won't take any questions. Thank you very much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nithai Gaur Premanande.